Masaji, so sorry. Didn't show you the UI. Been tied up. I had a outing and that took my time, and of course, not work. But so what you see over here is the UI which I'm using on the tablet. This is using the picture entities, and how I've done it is we've divided into different sections. Top left, on the first column, the top left, we have the mode where it says mode control. This basically is going to control my lighting and a few of the miscellaneous items. So the out of the 10 icons which you see over there, um, uh, the first three represents different hue scenes, right? So this one is daylight white, this one's winter, and of course this one's warm white. Custom scenes which I've made different color themes. Um, then of course you can see in the bottom bar it represents a current scene which you're in. Now we're only showing the top three scenes which I use, but using the arrows you can scroll through the different scenes which are available. So that's one way of implementing scenes here. Then, of course, the fourth button on top is for the bookshelf. It's just a simple ESP8266 based light strip, W2812B, individually addressable LEDs. The fifth one is basically for toggling the Ambilight system for the TV, right? So I've got Hyperion running on a Raspberry Pi, and I'm basically changing. It's basically the Philips Ambilight system where the backlight changes depending on what's there on the screen, right? Where the LED light colors change. So that's that. Bottom left, we've got the lights for the balcony. This does not update in the status over here. Then, of course, we've got a simple wall plug. Now, the two battery icons are for my two laptops. So, the first one is for my personal laptop, the second one is for the work laptop. So, um, the first one is just basically on and off. The second one is kind of more enhanced that when you toggle it on manually, it's going to switch on my work laptop and monitor, and it basically gets me ready for work, right? And the last one, of course, is the power. So this will tapping it will switch turn on and off the lights. If you tap and hold, it'll switch off everything in the bedroom. So that'll be your lights, your fans, your AC, your home theater, everything will be switched off. So it's basically kind of like in away mode. Now, if you want to control individual lights, you tap in the center of the bar over here, and it'll move into individual light control. Now, yes, there are a couple of lights which I've changed and I haven't updated the UI, but basically, you've got your desktop lamp and the other lights here, so you can control them individually. And of course, a long tap will be able to take care of other details as well. So this is the lighting panel. Below that, where is basically for the washroom. Now these are just manual controls. This one are the light for the dresser, the lights for the washroom, the exhaust in the washroom, and of course the water heater. And of course, I'm displaying the voltage, the power consumption, etc., etc. on the top left. It's purely info. I don't really use this one much because these are controlled by sensors. So when you get into the dresser or you go to the washroom, these lights turn on and off automatically. The third panel on in the first column is what I call the info panel. There I can set the mode of how the house is working. So for example, right now operation says auto, which means everything is automatic. Your water heating is automatic. Your light modes are automatic, so it turns on automatically in the evening. And as the night progresses, it switches off a few of the lights, and at midnight, it turns all lights off automatically. Now, if you can change this to manual, then everything is manual control. There's no automation. If you switch on the lights, they're left on as they are. And the last one is the status, which is away. This is basically when all of us go out, the house automatically moves into away mode, wherein it doesn't turn on the lights or do anything automatically, right? So that's what it is. The sync option, the lights option is set to sync or free. Basically, now I'm checking the states. I'm controlling the lights both upstairs and downstairs. So if I'm using a Hue remote, basically it's a Zigbee remote. So if the light state is set to sync, pressing the Hue remote either upstairs or downstairs will cause the light mode to cycle between cool white, warm white, and daylight white. And upstairs and downstairs will be synced, and not the bedrooms. It's just a living room and the family lounge, right? so the common areas. If you change it to free, then using the Hue remote upstairs will control only upstairs, and using the Hue remotes downstairs will control only downstairs. The third option is my HVAC mode. So basically, right now it's set to heat. So if you look on the second column, third panel, you can see the controls. So my heater is off. That's basically the AC, current temperature and humidity. But if I tap HVAC, it's now moved into dry mode, right? So it dehumidifies and then cool. Now, while these are manual, they're also using the season integration. So depending on the season, it automatically toggles there. But you have a manual override. The fourth option, the charger, is basically the status of the tablet. It's currently charging because the battery was low. If you switch it off, it just disappears. So it's basically using it's a custom badge, right? So depending on a conditional badge, I'm sorry. So let me just turn that back on. Whoops, sorry. There you go. Below that, where it says power, that's the status of power. So right now we're in good power, but if there was a power outage, it'll show that we are on UPS power. It's just purely for information, doesn't do anything else. The tab bat on this one, because this is the bedroom layout, it shows me the battery of my tablet. The UPS bat is basically the battery charge of my UPS. Everything in my room, because I've got a whole bunch of switches and servers in my room, they're all connected on the UPS. So I'm monitoring the state of the UPS battery, the battery charge. And the last one is UPS load. It's 18%, right? So it's the load on the UPS right now. Below that, you can see the weather scroll by. Right now, this, as you can see, displays different pieces of information about the weather for 3 seconds. But I've also put in a manual override. So if you tap, right, you can control what info you want to see, right? So if you add more items, you can control. It doesn't. You can just read it at ease. And the logic is that 10 seconds, if after you do a manual override like this, you can see that the arrows get highlighted. That's a visual indicator that there's a manual override enabled. If you don't do anything for 10 seconds, right, if there's no touch on the arrows for 10 seconds, it'll automatically resume scrolling the information automatically, just like it was. So that's my info panel. Now, on the second column, the first one is the air purifier. Pretty self-explanatory. Purifier on and off, AQI in the room, and the remaining filter percentage. Now, bottom right, the two badges, the AQI Gurgaon tells me the AQI in Gurgaon right now. And the next one, which is currently unavailable, is basically the AQI for Delhi. I'm actually using a web service. I forget the name of the service I'm using right now, and that seems to be having a problem, and that's why it's unavailable. But that's what it is. So if I turn the purifier on in the info bar, you can see that right now the purifier is online and the mode is auto, but I can change it. I can change the modes of the purifier to silent, power, and then auto again. So that's a simple purifier control. The one below that is the fan. It's pretty simple, bedroom fan, so on and off, and speed control as well. Now, apart from the UI, I'm also using the Hue remote. So obviously you can't see this, but now I'm going to press a button on the Hue remote, and we're changing this, controlling the fan and also reflecting the state over here. So we've got on and off and speed controls using the Hue remote as well. So that's what this is. Bottom, we've got the HVAC control. You can control your AC power. So let's say, for example, I switch on the heater right now, right? It's using an IR blaster and sent a command to the AC. But then you see that the fourth badge became available, which is speed. So that's the speed of the blower on the AC. So I can tap to cycle through low, medium, and high. And the status gets displayed on the info bar at the bottom. And if you use the arrows on the info bar, you can control the temperature on the AC. So that's what this one does. I'm just going to switch it off. Don't need it right now. Oh yeah, the two arrows on the right of the HVAC control, that's basically the horizontal swing and the vertical swing of the ACs. Just that. Coming to the third column, this is my entertainment column, I guess you want to call it. I really do. I'm bad at figuring names out. But the voltage is telling me the input voltage to my UPS. The amperage is the amps being drawn by by my entertainment system. That's basically entertainment system and networking, right? So basically every device connected to the UPS, which is everything: the TV, home theater, PlayStation, the switches, the server, everything. What's the amperage it's drawing, and how much power it's consuming. And then, of course, I've got a status for my NAS. So my NAS is on right now. As I told you, that's a Raspberry Pi using OMV, Open Media Vault. And currently, my TV is off and my stereo system is off. Now, below this, the five icons. Uh, okay, so I'm using the Logitech Harmony remote, right? And that's integrated into Home Assistant. So let's say I want to listen to music, right? So I can, since it's Harmony, I can use the Harmony remote as well, or I can use the on-screen controls. So let's say I tap to switch on music. Harmony turns on the home theater, only the home theater, and switches the input to the Fire TV, because that's basically what I'm using. And if you will look below it, it gives you the information regarding what is, or rather what was being played on the Fire TV before, right? So it's Michael Jackson. Yeah, big fan. You've got the name of the track, the artist, the album. Below that, where it says Refresh O1, that's my playlist. Fire TV 4K is the output device. You can actually change that. We've got different output devices over here. So if you look in the drop down, I've got my laptop, my phone, my Echo Show, Lounge, etc., etc. So if I was to choose Echo Show 8, for example, right, you'll notice that the output device is now changed to Echo Show 8. So this is a pop-up, and you can use a drop down, but the you also got quick controls over here. So if I choose the top little amplifier icon, it quickly changes it to Fire TV 4K. If I choose the left icon, it changes it to the living room, the output source. The bottom one changes to the Echo Show 8. So sorry, to the lounge speakers, right? So that's how I can change input sources. Um, I've also got playlist control. So if I tap and hold, for example, I get a pop up, and I'm seeing all the Spotify playlists which I listen to. If you do a single tap, it moves on to the next playlist. So you'll see that the playlist has changed from Refresh O1 to Rock, right? A tap again, it moves from Rock to Kenny G. A double tap, on the other hand, will take me back to the previous playlist, right? So, oops, double tap, Rock, double tap again, Refresh O1, right? So that's how I can cycle playlists using the interface, right? Um, I can change now. On the bottom panel on the right column, I've basically replicated the Fire TV remote. So you've got all playback control, you've got volume controls. Again, volume control is going to change the volume on my home theater, because again, bedroom tablet, home theater, and TV in my bedroom, and that's the target device, right? Other features like shuffle on and off, you've got that. Status gets updated as it gets updated on Spotify. So that's why there's that half-second lag over there. Now, this was music. Now, if I wanted to say listen, or sorry, if I wanted to watch something on the Fire TV, I'm going to go to the watch video activity, right? Now, give it a moment so that it changes states. Now you can see that the column where I had the second panel has now changed. I've got a custom launcher, so I can launch Netflix, Kodi, YouTube. This one is Disney Plus, Hotstar, so I couldn't find a proper icon for that, and Spotify. And at the bottom two icons, we've got home, and this is the launcher. So if you tap on this, you won't see anything happening on the tablet, but on the Fire TV, it's now opened up a list of all the apps which are available on my Fire TV. So once I've done that, I can use the controls to kind of navigate on the Fire TV. So all changes right now are happening on the Fire TV. And then, once I've made selection, click on the checkbox, or rather tap on the checkbox, and it'll launch the app on the Fire TV. So this way I have access to all the apps which are available. But the most used apps, like I said, if I want to launch Netflix, for example, before I go there, I launched the Prime Video app using the navigation. So if you look at the bottom, it says watching Prime Video on Fire TV 4K. Now let's say I'm going to quick launch Netflix, right? So give it a sec. Now Netflix is launched on the Fire TV, and the status has changed to watching Netflix on Fire TV. Fire TV 4K, that's the name. So If I say watch YouTube, I tap on that, it'll directly launch YouTube, and as you can see, the status below has changed. And then, of course, using these arrows, I can navigate and make selection of the videos. You've got volume and playback controls right here, so all that good stuff. Um, Now, the third one is basically a mode which I don't use anymore. Basically, I was using DLNA before when I didn't have Plex. So the TV has a DLNA player built in. So I've got a DLNA server using the OpenVideo Vault software. So now with DLNA, there's no control over here. For this, I mandatorily had to use the remote. That's why I don't use it anymore. It's Plex all the way. Now, I showed you then there's this icon over here, Bluetooth, which basically just changes the input source to Bluetooth on my receiver. And this one basically changes the source to. I initially had my laptop connected here for an extended display, but now I use this particular source as a visual to my server. So I've got my server mounted. It's it's working on its own, but if I want to see what's on the screen for my without doing a remote desktop or an RDP or a VNC, I can do this, right? So I'll just give you an example where this comes in handy. Yesterday, I was remotely working on my server, and I wanted to refresh the DNS servers. But instead of just refreshing and renewing it, I accidentally disabled the network interface. And you know what happens? All remote connections are now disabled. So I then switched to this mode, and using a mouse, I enabled the network card, and we were back online. So this is just a backup method in case remote desktop fails for whatever reason. I still have physical access to the desktop on the server. It's running Ubuntu 22.04, and I can do whatever needs to be done. So that's what this is. And now you can see that the yellow portion shows you, the yellow highlight shows which particular Harmony activity is running. So if I tap it again, it will turn the home theater off. Basically, home theater and TV, everything goes off. And the logic applied is that if my home theater is off, fine, I'll change the default audio output device to the Echo Show 8, uh, just in case I want to listen to music, even not on the home theater. This was just an afterthought. So this is what it is. I've got similarly made. I've got other rooms laid out. So I've got guest room, but I haven't made it custom. This is a simple, the vertical stacks which I had over there. Then we've got lounge, which is using the same interface, similar UI. Don't worry about the offline. That's a plug with that's a geyser, the lounge washroom geyser, which mom has physically switched off. So it's not a TOIA error right now. Then living room and lounge test is basically I was just testing a few things out. But basically, this is what the UI is, and this is how I'm controlling it on my bedroom. So I hope you like it.